Welcome back. If you're just joining, this is Daybreak Extra on Trust TV. So you could follow the conversation on our various social platforms on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and as well YouTube. We're moving to the discussion segment now, where we'll be looking at the economic benefits of modern tabletop gaming and its influence in education. Tabletop games are games that are normally played on a table or other flat surface, such as board games, card games, dice games, miniature war games, war gems, right?
Or games.
Or tile-based games. Games like chess and draughts are examples of games belonging to the board game category. Other games, however, use various attributes and cannot be classified unambiguously. Example, Monopoly utilizes a board as well as a dice and cards. To discuss further on this is Kenechukwu Cornelius Ogwagu, also known as Casey. He is a tabletop games designer and founder of Nip Card Games. He is also a founder of the African Board Games Convention, ABCON. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, sir.
Yes. So first of all, walk us through what inspired all of this.
Usually when I talk to people about that, in a word, I would say boredom. But over the years, it's been a lot of other new learnings and a lot of things I've also figured out. So why do I say boredom? It all started in school on campus. That was 2013. Just this morning, I realized this is the 10th year I designed my first game.
Wow.
So yeah.
A decade.
Yes.
Congrats to you.
Thank you so much.
You have
thank
your applause.
Thank you, thank you.
Okay.
The name of the game is Ukubwa. It's a misspelled Swahili name for greatness. And the idea was, like I said, boredom was during the strike, the ASU strike in 2013. So we were in school, Unical, University of Calabar, and we didn't know what to do. We couldn't travel because we didn't know how long the strike would take. So I had this friend, and we tried a lot of extracurricular activity. We had to build our weight in a compound because we tried every other thing. And he couldn't travel because he's from another country and he didn't want to waste money. He might travel and then the next week it's called off. And then we tried our PlayStation. He didn't like video games at the time. And I said, you know what? He was a medical student. Now he's a doctor. I said, I'm going to design something long and boring for you to do. That was the idea. Something long and boring. And I sketched it. And we played it a lot in the compound. I guess it was long and boring. But, I mean, comparing it to new knowledge now, there are games you could play for 24 hours. So it wasn't long compared to those games. And it didn't make sense until 2015 when I was volunteering with an organization, and it's called Voluntary Service Overseas. So it was a combination of young people from Britain and Kenya, and so we all brought our cultures together. I volunteered in Ikorodu for 6 months. So they were the ones that made me realize I had something. So up until then, I didn't know it was something, and people around me felt anybody could design games. But nobody had designed game, right? But they brought their own games, and we are shocked that I could design that game. And they asked, okay, can you do something again? And remember, the idea behind the first one was long and boring. So they said something about Nigeria and that is very short. And I did that within 2-3 weeks, just with things that I could find around. So they helped me realize that, hey, you're onto something, and you could learn more on social media, on the internet, because from their own perspective, for someone to design a game, it takes years, it takes a lot of resources, meeting up with people, and so that was how the whole thing started.
Sorry, so to the long and boring game, has anyone ever, reached the end of that game?
Yes, I mean.
And how long did it take?
It didn't take up to 2 hours. Exactly.
Serious?
So that was
exactly.
And it's not even boring anymore.
Okay.
But because of where we were coming from, our knowledge bank at the time, the games we already know are the old classic, and you can literally mention about 8 of them. So that was our comparison. But the new knowledge now, the games are so wild. In 2021, over 5,000 games were published that was recorded in the database. 5,000 games, and the one of the last year 2022 has not been published yet. So there are so many games in Nigeria over the years. There are over 72 games now that are Nigerian games.
Okay. So while we're looking at a means of curing boredom, another thing that's supposed to be on the table, of course, is education, because we know that a lot of kids also they go after these games. And while, the PlayStations, the Xboxes, the Nintendos of, our generation are there, parents are also looking for games that are as educative and can impact knowledge, games that they know that when you play, you don't just leave the games with fun and excitement, you also leave with something in the head. So does your games capture education as well?
Yes, I completely agree with you. First, I believe that every child has the right to play. There was a time that if you're playing, you get spanked, like, why are you playing? Or if you're playing, and there are the stereotypes surrounding the games we already have, like, if you're playing chess, that means you're brilliant. So if a child feels like they're not brilliant, they don't like chess anymore. Or if you're playing dice, you're a gambler. If you're playing draft, you're wayward. There are stereotypes. But games do so much more than fun, like you said. And yes, I've designed games that are particularly for improving certain learning outcomes. So we have a game on geography. Last year, we partnered with an organization to design games that help to raise awareness of risk and disaster mitigation for children in Benue State and in some parts of Abuja as well. We also worked with IOM in 2020, just before the lockdown, to design a game to help raise awareness for children on migration issues around West Africa. And when I was working with my former organization before I resigned in 2019 to do this full time, we did games to help increase awareness on SDGs.
Wait, sorry to cut you short. You resigned to do this full time?
Yes, everybody thought I was mad. Like, everybody. I still had my contract, and it was a high pay. I mean, a work that has taken me to 6 different countries, and I was pulling out to do this full time. Yes, because the opportunity is enormous. So we've worked on games to help improve learning on literacy and numeracy. And like you said, parents want their children to reduce screen time and, socialize. And games, board games, tabletop games, like you've mentioned, do that a lot. You play a game and you don't even know you're learning those things. So you're not forced to learn. And that's what games bring in. Like, it enthusiastically engages your emotions.
You're learning and having fun.
Exactly. You want to win. And if it means to partner with someone to win, you will do that. Like, if you want to win, and if it means building strategy or waiting for the long game, you will do that. And you won't know you're even learning. Even things as simple as waiting for your turn is something games do.
It teaches you patience.
Yes, because you can't play before the next person so those are things games do.
Perhaps you'll give us some of these games. There are things that Dashin and I need to learn.
Hello. All right, so can you tell us a bit about the African Board Games Convention? That's APCON. You're the founder. What's it all about? And, is it an annual event or,
So APCON is actually a build-up to a lot of stuff. I'll just quickly summarize them. So in 2015, when I felt that, okay, this is a huge thing to do, I started looking for places where I could design. So that was the first task. And fortunately, I was in Lagos. And to be honest, if you can't find it in Lagos, it's hard to find it somewhere else. So I trekked. I trekked because I was going shop to shop looking for places, and they didn't even understand the concept of what I wanted to do. So I had to start doing them on my own. And then once the game were designed, the next was to make them. And again, it was another research, another journey. And we couldn't find, so we started watching YouTube to start manufacturing games as well. So then the next was, okay, I have prototypes. They were not sellable at the time, so it was just the box. But where do I play these games? And then I had moved to Abuja, started from Kwali. And we moved Wuse, Maitama, going around to places. Anywhere they have us, we'll play those games. And that was where the idea of, okay, it's like, this is new. I want people to know my games. At the time, it was just mine. And we met someone that gave us a space, the lounge. And that was how African Board Game Convention started. I wanted to give it one name, but a friend suggested that we should make it more continental. So APCON is just a gathering of game enthusiasts, publishers, manufacturers.
Just like Comic-Con.
Exactly. So there's actually a Gen Con. There's so many conventions around the world. Spiel happens in, I'll come back to APCON. Spiel happens in Germany. Spiel in 2019, before the lockdown, had an attendance of 219,000 people.
Wow.
Now, if you watch football, that is like Old Trafford. How many stadium full? For 4 days playing game. And the convention is over 20 years old. And yeah, Gen Con, just before the lockdown, Gen Con in US is 77,000 people for 4 days, and Gen Con is over 50 years old. So APCON is just, like you said, a Comic-Con for tabletop games in Nigeria, and we hope it spreads. So we started in 2016, and it's been yearly, except for COVID lockdown, obviously.
What about the turnout?
Yes, how has attendance been?
People come. Obviously, we've not gotten to 1,000 at the time, but this year we had over 700 attendance.
That's quite impressive.
From different states?
Yes. To shock you, last year we had a guest. We had 2 guests from outside the country that just came for APCON.
Wow.
This year we had 1. So it's something that people want it to be more than one day. So if they're coming to Nigeria, they know
they're
that
spending a couple of
exactly.
days.
So that's what we are looking forward to.
Okay, so another question. So earlier during your conversation, you spoke just vaguely about sales. So I want to ask, how has sales been like? Because I understand that while you are chasing your passion, you also need to eat.
Yes.
So tell us about that.
So there's the social economic part as well. The sales, Nigerians like party games. Okay. That is it. A lot of party games.
She likes party games.
I can understand because some games take a while to teach, and people might lose interest when you start teaching. So there are games that it's recommended that you carry the rule book and start reading. The rule book is like a novel. Exactly.
A manual.
So you're reading it on your own without even playing the game before you start. But party games are easy to learn, easy to teach, and obviously they are fun, and they take more than usual 4 players, so you can play with 10. So yes, for party games we sell that a lot, but we're also looking at the fandom. For you to have that fandom community, it has to take more than just partying and shouting. So when it comes to party games, we sell that a lot, and we have. I'm not just talking of nib card games. We also manufacture games for clients. Last year we did about 13 games for 5 different designers. So we also sell some of their games. Party games sell a lot. The numbers. Anyone that wants to talk numbers, we can always talk about the numbers. But if it's in terms of selling, it sells. And we don't even have, we are still having a challenge in terms of distribution. It's a new industry, but in terms of Abuja and Lagos, it sells a lot.
Okay, so talking about designing games for partners and for organizations, now something just came to my mind, Dashin. Remember the Big Brother Naija?
Yeah.
I did rave and everything. I didn't watch it as much. I don't follow Big Brother Naija, but then I saw a couple of games. So are those the kind of games, or can you design such games?
We can design, any game designer can actually design any type of games, as long as they have good information and know what the client wants. Yes, I can design all of those games. I saw bits of clips on Twitter, the show, and there are games that we could do so much more better than this. Make it, because sometimes if we see games on the internet, the context of where it's being played is different from the context of. I don't know if that makes sense. Like, there are games drinking games I will see that are being played on TikTok, and I say, okay, if this is contextualized properly in Nigeria, it makes exactly more relatable. You're just having fun. You say, oh, that nostalgic feeling. You start having them because it's not contextualized. Yes, we can make those games way better. Okay,
so you make, unlike other people who actually, order from abroad, you actually make it and manufacture it in Nigeria. Yeah. Can you tell us about, the process and how it's been so far? And also you can add the climate, because it's very important, the business climate here in Nigeria. So how it affects your output. I have
Don't call it crisis, please. Let's just call it climate.
Okay, I have about 35 games that I've designed. Wow. And personally? Yes, personally. Wow. I have much more prototypes, but the ones that people can actually play and we can sell. And then we have about 13 from last year. Okay, 12. So I see this is your game? Yes, that is Homia. Yes. Okay. Homia is actually a simple game. We designed Homia with intent for schools, so adults started playing it, and we thought, oh, you know what, let's also bring it out for adults. It's a simple memory game for children, recognizing patterns and colors, but we also contextualize it with different tribes in Nigeria. So Homia is about first player to build their home, and that's 1-1 touch. I don't know if you played these 4-man post, Bolu, 4-man post, and then did you also play the pen with button and cover of pen.
You're reminding me of high
Exactly.
school.
So we combined those two things. And
Is it button or battery cover?
No, it was button.
Oh.
I can remember how much my mom beat me because I kept...
That
was different.
That's a different game. Oh no, that's a different... Come on. That's a different game.
Yes. You put in the back of your hand. That is painful.
So we see another one, moving the stars.
Moving the stars. All of these were made here in Abuja.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
So you were talking about the business environment here in Nigeria and how it affects your creativity.
It does affect it a lot. So some of our games we had to increase the prices by over 45%, and we keep telling people, see, we print in UTC, straw board. Before the COVID, straw board used to be 250, and then after COVID, as at last year, it was about 900 with a bag.
Wow.
Yeah. It's a bag. Like now, and then we used to print 35 naira. Now we're printing 180 naira. So because
that's an astronomical increase.
Exactly, dollar rise and all of those inflation. So all of these affects our business directly. And but when the joy of seeing the people having something to do, like the team that still make games are teams I met in Kwali. I lived in Kwali for 1 year volunteering, and it was a day I was just cutting box, and a guy.
What does it mean to live somewhere voluntarily?
Yes, to work without pay.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought you said you lived there voluntarily. Okay.
Yeah, so I lived there working with my organization. So I was cutting my cardboard, watching YouTube, and a boy at the time, he was just SS3. He walked up, he said, he took interest. Now he has designed 2 games. Wow. And he called his friends. We trained ourselves. They are still the ones making these games, about 13 of them making this game up to this year. And the joy of seeing, there are videos, you can just search online, and we are cutting all the straw boards, and we are folding it. It's actually nice. And now we are making, we've gotten, I'm not sure if I'm supposed to say this here, but we've gotten 2 clients from outside Nigeria.
Of course, you're supposed to say it. You should blow your whistles. Come on.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we've gotten, and that means that people are watching us, and we sell our games outside, and people order again. That means they love what we've made, and we do this without machine. I mean, apart from the printing, every other thing are handmade. Although we are hoping to set up a factory properly, but these are things that we do here in Abuja. And it's
Okay, so what is the most challenging component to actually, produce in any of your games? Which one takes more from
time.
you? Actually, you said you have how many games? You've created how many
35.
games? Which one takes the most from you?
When you were talking about tabletop games, talking about board game, card game, dice game, miniature games. So miniature games are the ones we've not gone into yet. Okay. I went to some factory in Nigeria. The amount, the prices they called for us to. So miniatures are those small things. Yeah, like that car.
Okay, so
like
you can see the previous.
Exactly. Those small. That car now is a miniature for a car.
Of course.
So those
and
things.
Zebra.
And the house.
And the
exactly,
house.
and the house. So for you to get a company to make a mold, it's super expensive, especially for our market. Our current market in Nigeria. So we don't even try. It limits games. I tell people that just from being in this side of the world, there are things I can't even think of.
Okay,
but wouldn't it be easier for you to actually get someone like someone who has artistic creativity to just mold it for you if you have the right material?
But thinking of mass production.
Yes, you could also take advantage, if you like, of I don't know how scalable that is anyway. 3D printing.
Yes, that's also the things that 3D solves a lot. But we're always thinking of mass production. In a game, you might not be. Think of chess. How many miniatures that is needed? Course. Exactly. So Monopoly has about 7. And so some of the game ideas that we have, if it's just one, let's do this. And when we are making our prototype, we carve it with wood, but we can't mass produce it to sell.
Yes.
So that's our biggest challenges. And then the second one, the one within our reach is the printing. Because we don't own our printers yet, if we are printing a set, if we are printing another set, you will see the shade of colors are different.
Differ.
So that's exactly, it's something that we know we could always work on. Well, that's a challenge. But when it comes to the global, the business of things, the challenge is in distribution.
Okay.
No, I always refer people, think of when the music industry started and movie industry. If there were no independent marketers at the time to help push this talent or these products, it might have slowed down.
Yes, the growth of the industry.
Exactly. And sometimes I try to control myself. Well, there are things I can't do, and then there are also the thing of monopolizing the market. I mean, I can do everything from conceptualizing to entertaining you just alone, and it's not good for an industry. I mean, it's not. I can just think of a game, I can do the graphics, I have the boys that will do illustration, and I have boys that can manufacture. And then we own a cafe. When we started the cafe, it was called the first tabletop games cafe in West Africa. And it's in Guarimpa, so we have over 700 games. Yes. So I can also entertain you, bring you in, and you still pay me. But it doesn't help growing an industry. If I now go into distribution and marketing, that's if I don't die young. So that's why we need, if people come into the industry, people see the potential, all it takes is Google the worth of tabletop games in US or in UK, and you see that this is a viable industry to come in. There was a time parents would beat their kids for saying they want to be musicians. But now, because there are people that are being, people that can sell it, now people want to come into the industry.
Is that cafe still functioning?
Yes.
Sounds like fun. Okay.
We'll
talk about that later.
However, one more from me. So you've gone through the ideation and conceptualization stage. You know, you've put together the ideas and they've been manifested to reality. You know, you started the sales, production and distribution and all of that. And in all of this, you've put in your passion and you've enjoyed, you know, the whole process. However, have you received accolades in terms of international recognition or even local recognition, you know, in the terms of awards and the likes of that? Have you gotten that for the work that you do?
Yes. We've gotten, quite a lot of accolades. Okay, you said about blowing our trumpet, so here goes.
Please do, go ahead.
Okay, we've last 2 years, 2021, we received the Diana Jones Award for Excellence in Gaming. And that is a very huge award in the gaming industry. It's over 20 years old. It has its own Wikipedia page. It was surreal for us to get that award. The nomination alone
must have been a great feeling.
Yes, and the other people that were nominated are people that I respect in the industry. And yeah, I mean, it was good. We've also been published on CNN. CNN have done an article.
Wow.
Yes. I'm super grateful.
So you're getting out there. You're getting out there.
Yeah, because it's something that there's potential to create so much job in this industry. So we are always talking about, you know, youth unemployability and youth unemployment, and there are industries that have not been utilized the way it's supposed to. And countries that have even better technology than us are, you know, earning from this new industry. Now, how much more us? Schools, Montessori schools are using tabletop games in their schools, because if you go to all these developed countries, is a norm to have games for their elementary schools, for their secondary schools. So the industry is massive. BBC has done, BBC Pigeon has done a documentary in the cafe. BBC One Radio have done an interview, BBC 4 as well. Daily Trust I used to do a puzzle for Daily Trust.
Oh, wow.
Yes, 2017 for Maze. And we've gotten some, when we started the convention, they did something, and NTA as well, channels. So we've gotten those stuff. Kenya TV as well. A friend just called me and said, hey, this. Thomas Router have done a documentary. So many recognitions. And so people know about, people are knowing about what we are doing, and can only go.
Dashin, do you have a final question?
Yeah, of course, just before we wrap up.
Because I have one more.
Oh my God.
Go on. No, you love party games. Ask away.
No, what I'm going to ask right now.
Please don't forget to give out the address to the lounge. Yes.
All right, we actually get to see a lot of games we actually grew up with, like What, Ludo, and all that. We actually see them online now, right? Do you have plans of taking yours online to reach out to more people? If no, tell us why. Are there like negative effects of doing that?
People have actually asked. People come into the cafe after playing a game, say, do this thing, do this thing. I've not considered if there are negative effects. Just that at this time, our focus is on tabletop games, and as you define it, are games that you can. Yes, we focus on that fact that it brings people together. So that's our major focus.
So it kind of defeats the idea then.
Maybe in the future we might consider it. We might, give it out to an external party. But at this time, it's just focused on, and then. If someone pushes and pushes, so what I usually ask is, you that is talking to me, how many games do you have in your phone? And then the conversation start going down. And then after, do you want me to kind of compete with, what is that? The bubble.
Okay, Candy Crush.
Candy Crush. Are you expecting this Candy Crush? Because you that is talking, how many games have you played this week in your phone?
That's true. Then, okay, final one from me. Of course, we'll always ask this question. What should be done, or what can be done, especially on the part of the private sector and also the government, to improve your creativity and your output?
Okay, I'll start with the government. Someone said that after God is government. Yes, so if government does not recognize this, what an industry, it's so difficult for that industry to even start making waves. Well, we start from the general one of having good infrastructures. I'm not just talking of road and power, but even in terms of like custom. So there was, when we were opening the cafe, we crowdfunded for the cafe, and now people started donating games, and we got games in parcel, about 200 games. And it was a nightmare for those games to come into Nigeria. In fact, when they eventually came in, they were in Abuja airport for like 2 months. No, there are so many, I don't want to say extortion, but there are so many, and then I'm now talking to people that wanted to do charity, and it became a nightmare. So having those infrastructure, when we order games, because they are not games people recognize, so it's a whole conversation at Night Post. It's a whole different conversation. The valuation just increases. I'm like, we're not even selling this for the cafe. And then there was a time when I was renewing my international passport. I told the officer I'm a board game designer. I thought I was joking. Yes, it was a whole different conversation.
I think I can relate to that.
That's where I wear clothes that shows my work, so that people know it's the real thing. So it's about that, having those kind of infrastructure, not just physical. And then we want to start working with the Ministry of Youth, because there's also the part. Imagine these games now being used in for competitions, and then schools also trying, Ministry of Education pushing that, encouraging
just
schools.
Just like chess, right?
Exactly, just like chess. Encouraging schools to start using games in their curriculum, and not just reading books, which is good, but also using games and all of those stuff. And then when it comes to the private sector, we're encouraging people to come into the industry, ask questions, make your own research. If we start seeing movies where instead of playing these games, they are now playing Nigerian games, right? In their movie scenes, it encourages people. Exactly, exactly. And then the shows, instead of using games that foreign games, they now use Nigerian games. It doesn't have to just be nip card games. Like I said, there are over 73 Nigerian games now. So that way, it promotes our culture.
All right, thank you so much, Casey Kenechukwu Cornelius Ogwago, a board game designer and founder of the African Board Game Convention, for coming on the program this morning. It's been quite insightful.
It was absolutely fun.
Yes, let me remind you, please give her the address.
No, don't worry, we'll talk now. It's time now.
Just Google Nipcard Games Cafe. It brings you straight to the gate. Nipcard Games Cafe.
So now you have the location on your phone.
Thank you.
Okay, so with that...
you should also come.
Yeah, of course.
He will, of course. He's asking for himself, actually. Don't mind him.
Well, we've come to... This is where we wrap up the show for this morning.
Yes,
and it's been fun. It's been lovely. I especially enjoyed the phone-in segment of the program.
Yeah, we'll do that more often, you know, and we'll get to hear a lot from people watching us.
Well, for me, it's thank you for watching the program, and we hope to catch you again next week. I'm Sagir Ibrahim.
And I'm Dashan Husseina Usman. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.